For those with good taste.
Welcome back to A-Season Taste Stats. It's your boy Lenny, joined again by that D33 Ray and that D4. How do you do an N number equivalent?
I don't think there is one.
All right, Dante. Dante's back with us today. And we're here for a movie review. But in this one, unlike ducks who fly together, the crow flies solo.
I don't like that.
Guys.
No.
Guys.
I like it.
Thanks.
That's
Thank you. That was pretty fucking good, right?
No, I like it.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, that was cringe.
That was awesome, dude. This week we're talking The Crow. 2024 is The Crow, though, not 1994's. 20 years to the day, though, we're talking about this movie.
30.
Is it to the day?
No, not at all. No, I made that up. But it seemed believable.
Got that one off.
And this is the most exciting part of this movie.
What do you mean?
Hey, so Dante, I want to start with you.
Yeah.
It seemed appropriate since you've seen the original before any of us did.
Before? Like, you still haven't watched it?
I mean, I've not finished it.
Ah, okay.
But you were a huge fan of it, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're a giant fan of it.
All right. Maybe not the biggest fan, but, like, you know, it's one of those, like, good, bad movies.
We didn't plot this out beforehand. Do you guys want to start by talking about the 94, or should we start by talking about the 2020?
I mean,
Can we really talk about the 94 if you haven't really watched it?
I've watched 83% of it.
I think we can't have this discussion anyways without talking, so we might as well just kind of dig into the original first.
The OG. What did you like about that movie, Dante?
The original?
Yeah, that's what
I don't know. I don't think there was really anything in particular. I mean, I like the whole like concept of the character and like the whole.
Had you seen this years
revenge
ago,
thing.
or was this like a recent thing?
This is like a recent thing for like
7
the first
months
watch.
ago.
Yeah,
Okay, I watched it 2 days ago before I saw.
I watched it maybe
new
like
one.
2 months ago.
Okay,
I watched it about an hour and 45 minutes ago.
Sick.
So I think I have an interesting perspective, though, of watching the 2024 before watching any of this one. Or of the
Yeah,
1994 version.
because honestly, that was part of my take on the 2024 is how would I have received that movie if I didn't watch the 94 one first?
so I have a feeling that you are probably gonna like this newer movie less than Dante and myself. Because I think while watching this newer movie, having seen the original, I kind of knew a few more things that were going on as the movie was happening that, like, I just think I liked it a little bit better. I don't think I put that together
I
very
think
well.
watching the original movie actually has the opposite effect.
Really? So I definitely agree that the original is better.
Well,
But I
it's
think
just like the way they played this movie out. The whole time I was comparing it to the original, I was like, "Why'd they have to do that? What the fuck
Well,
is
yeah,
this?"
it's almost a completely different movie.
Yeah,
But
They feel completely different.
yeah,
There's a whole like plot in the new one that is very much not in the original,
yeah.
right? Like,
I mean, it basically just took the original by concept and namesake. That's it.
and like, I mean, I think there was some likeness between the characters in a way.
Well, like our Eric Draven's.
Yeah.
Not really.
I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say both of these movies are objectively bad.
I won't disagree with that. Like I said,
No, but
I
you
mean,
said
like,
you liked The
I-
Crow.
I liked the original,
Like,
but I never said it was a good movie.
Here's the thing, dude. I have been like, this movie's been a cult classic my whole life. Like, it's one of those movies when you say you haven't seen it that people are like, dude, you haven't seen The Crow, and it's like, I'm watching this thing and I'm like, what the fuck is this? I'll give it credit. Brandon Lee, I think, is good. Like, he worked his ass off in that role. Like, he's weird as fuck the whole time. I'm like, and Dave, you might know if this is. Did Heath Ledger take most of his Joker from this?
no, I don't think so.
We could probably look back on that a little bit. Because I got a lot of like Heath Ledger Joker vibes from it.
So yeah, like I have a group of friends who all like swear by this movie, and I feel like once a year it's just referenced somewhere along the lines, and I've never seen it, and it's always been one of those things that I've just looked at like the movie from the outside, and I've always thought it was just like an incredibly stupid looking, like, why would I ever want to see this? Like, you guys are kind of weird for liking this movie. Having now seen the movie 2 days ago, I think the first 15 to 20 minutes was like, what the hell is happening? What is going on in this movie? Why am I watching this? I will say by the end of it, I actually did enjoy it quite a bit.
So I assume I know the group of friends you're talking about that like this, at least one of the people.
Yeah.
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 And it makes perfect sense to me. Like, because this is 100%, like, it is an incredibly, like, I think it's like a weird, goofy, like, cheesy, it's perfect for its time period. Like, the whole city feels exactly like the movies that came out in the early 90s. Like, everything about it. Like, go watch, on my Vudu, I have the movie Judgment Day with, like, Emilio Estevez, Cuba Gooding Jr., a few other people in it. Dennis Leary, like, and it's like the city is the same exact city. Like, all cities in the 90s were this city, you know? It hits, like, all, like, that early 90s vibe. So I understand, like, I get why it, like, the campiness of it is loved so much. But I think that, like, that sometimes gets, like, misconstrued into, like, it. People say it's amazing rather than just being like, I loved it for what it was, you know?
I mean, it just all comes with like an objective eye. Like Dante said, like he liked the movie, but at no point did he ever say it was a good movie.
Thank you.
I have to go back and watch the tapes.
And I mean, I kind of agree. And I think part of what I really did like is exactly what you're saying. It was just the environment, the ambiance of like this just like dark, like dirty, dilapidated city.
It's like the cheesiness of it was almost fun. You know?
Yeah.
So do you think that the new one just lacks that feeling to it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It feels like the new one, in trying to be a remake, knowing the original's a bad movie that people like, it's like they went out to try and make a worse movie.
Yeah, this one's definitely more stylized. Like the city, it doesn't have the same grime that the city in the 90s has. Like this one is still dark, but it's like clean and it's just raining the whole time, but it's not as grungy and as gross as the city that you have in the 90s version.
Well, and that also leads to like the dramatic like shift in the storytelling from the original to this one, where in the original, like all your antagonists were like just like your
Like the gang,
like
yeah.
drug using like just weirdos.
Yeah.
Between just guy Tintin carrying like 2 knives, and you had like the speed freaks and whatnot. And this movie was just all the bad guys were just henchmen.
Yeah.
Just henchman number 1, henchman
Nothing
number 2.
particularly unique about any of the characters. Yeah, that's definitely a downside of it. What do you guys think of what's the Skarsgård kid's name in this? Bill.
Yeah.
Bill versus like his iteration versus Brandon Lee's.
I mean, it definitely wasn't as good. It was just kind of like he was just a pouty little kid, it felt like, throughout the whole movie.
Dante?
I mean, I'm kind of with him on that. Like, I think like Brandon Lee's was definitely way more like, holy shit. Like, I think that's part of the reason I like that movie. You know what I mean? Versus now this one, it's just like, all right, cool. Like, you got like a kind of grungy look and like whatever, but it almost doesn't fit the rest of the movie.
There's like one particular scene that I think retrospectively the modern one feels kind of like the Brandon Lee one.
Is it when he does like the paint on the face?
No, that didn't do it for me. It was the I just don't know if like it's not really supposed. He puts the cigarette in the dude's mouth. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Like that feels a little bit like what would have happened in this movie, but nothing else. Like in every kill of like this version, he's like, you know, he's got like little quips and like he's just a little unhinged in the way. And like I think if it's definitely cheesy and bad, but like it works, you know, it especially for the time period that the movie came out, it works. And there's none of that like that energy or charisma that you're getting from this version. Yeah. And I think that's definitely something that's missing from making this movie like a bad movie that's fun to watch as opposed to just a bad movie, right? Um, did you guys and like I'm just trying to like teeter on before we get to spoilers. Like the '94 version just throws you into it,
Right.
right?
So that was another huge thing. I didn't like how much more they tried to add with this. It felt unnecessary.
So I think that's where like the additional runtime of this movie suffered.
Yeah.
Well, the original was like 90 to 99 minutes, and then I think this one was close to like
2 hours.
2 hours. Because there's like 30 to 45 minutes of just like an introductory of like telling you who Eric is and kind of telling you who Shelley is, who basically isn't a character in the original movie.
Yeah.
The movie starts with her death, and it is the catalyst for the whole movie, rather than like you getting to know who this person was beforehand.
But so is that bad in idea or bad in execution that they gave you context? Or
I think
like,
it's bad in execution.
Yeah.
Like, I don't necessarily hate the fact that, like, if you're going to remake the movie, take your own liberties with it and try and do something different. And now with, like, you know, modern movie making, they like to do a little bit more development on, like, the backstory and stuff. I just don't think they did it well.
I'm a little torn on this part of it, I suppose, because I thought it. So what kind of name is Twigs, by the way?
FKA Twigs.
That's her performance name.
Right. Okay. Didn't really answer my question, but sure. I thought like she was very good. And I thought she was better than him, in all honesty, at least for like at times I thought they had natural chemistry, and at other times I was like, they're just both very dry in the way that they're performing this stuff, you know? Like, especially him and Dante, me and you, this is our second movie with Bill Skarsgård this year. Yeah. There's not a lot to differentiate this version of him versus
Boy Kills World.
Boy Kills World. Like, it's kind of weird. Like, even straight from the beginning when they're basically playing him like he's mute.
Yeah.
And I'm like, are we just going to do this again? You know? Like, is this guy, like, just typecasted himself now as a mute person? The other thing I'll say about Bill Skarsgård before I continue on about their relationship, I think it might be the worst thing that ever happened to that dude. Because everything I watch now, it's like he was so good as Pennywise, and you keep waiting for another one of those performances in a way with him, and I just don't think you'll get it again. And even this, like, I see some of the character of it, like his Pennywise characteristics coming through in his like facial acting in this movie. It's a little weird. Like, I just think like that's where I can't like differentiate some of him, is that his first role that he got famous off of was like so iconic, and it's almost like he's chasing a dragon now of like trying to find that next role that like that he's kind of in in-between movies now, to where like Boy Kills World is fine, but it's not going to be popular to the point where people see it. This movie, I think you could have casted anybody in it, and I think it almost is to its detriment that you have like him in it, because I think that you can't see him as Eric, whatever his name is, Dracula?
Draven.
There you go. But yeah, back to the relationship. I thought I didn't mind maybe because I hadn't seen the original, so I didn't know that like you didn't get that backstory. I didn't mind it. There was aspects of the storytelling that like, and this is where to the idea versus the execution thing, I think it probably failed more on execution than anything.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
Yeah. I don't know if I have a whole lot of negatives for her role as Shelley, but I don't really feel like I have many positives either. She was just kind of there.
Yeah.
And like I said, I like having seen the original first, just like the day before, like it was just kind of weird having this like character be an actual like main character throughout the movie, where it's just like, yeah, she was just dead in the original.
Well, they tried to give it purpose too, you know what I mean? The original was definitely more of like a revenge story versus this was like,
yeah, and you can't really talk like it, like without spoiling. I get it, but yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
I think it's just an error of like the times. I just feel like when they were making this movie today, they probably looked at it and didn't feel like they could just not have this character with like on a revenge run without giving the audience like actual information as to the impact of the revenge. Whereas like this was just like kind of like a nothing movie in 1994 with probably like no budget. It's like, hey, we have a comic. Here's the story. We're just going to make this movie.
So before we get into spoilers, I do want to, I want to, at least we usually do like recommend, don't recommend. I think the version this week is this better than Madam Web?
No.
I think I might have actually put it below it.
I did. I put it
Okay.
below it. I
Wait.
just double checked for myself.
No. Sorry. Yes, it is better than Madam Web.
Let's clarify our
Confusing.
Madam Web takes though here.
Worst movie of the year.
I stand by the same thing I said about Borderlands.
Second worst movie of the year.
The thing is, Madam Web makes you feel things. Was this movie bad enough that it made you feel any things, or was it good enough to say it's better than Madam Web? Because I don't think if it's good enough to say that it's not equal to Madam Web, or like I just don't think it's better than Madam Web as a movie necessarily, and it made me feel nothing. So this is probably my second nominee for for movie of the year that was just there. Like it just exists. This is a movie that'll exist.
So,
Yeah.
like I said, like it's kind of a weird take because I feel like the original is far better than this movie, but having seen the original before seeing this movie made me at least like this movie a little bit more. Had I not seen the original and this was just a fresh movie that I would go see, yeah, it would probably be worse than Madam Web. But having some sort of information and knowledge of a previous iteration of this story kind of just filled some gaps and just helped me gloss over a few things, I guess.
Where, again, I think it had the opposite effect on me. I just found myself trying to compare it to the original time and being like, why the fuck did they do that? What the fuck is this? Like, this is stupid.
The 94 version is closer to Madam Web. Like it's so bad that it's funny.
Yeah.
Than this movie that's just there. Like there's nothing that's like bad enough in this movie that made me laugh. But okay, let's 3, 2, 1 spoiler, because I do think I want to give it some credit. But in order to do that, I think we need to talk a little bit more in detail about some of the more specifics of it. So yeah, 3, 2, 1 spoiler. Get the fuck out if you were thinking about seeing it. But just to reiterate,
whoa.
You,
Hey, we
you-
still care about you.
you
too.
don't need to see this.
You don't have to get the fuck out. Just hit the time codes down below.
Right. But the time code will just take you to the end of the podcast or the review. Just
Well, you know,
So they'd get the fuck
stick
out
around
of
at the
it.
end to see our rating.
Right. Good point. Yeah. So where do we start with spoilers? Let's go back to the beginning and we'll work our way through it. So because we can talk a little bit, I guess, more in detail about their relationship. The like insane asylum shit.
I didn't.
I don't even
understand that
get
at all.
it to a point. Like
Because it was like a co-ed prison asylum.
Makes no
juvie.
sense.
yeah.
Like, that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
At least I don't think it
They,
does.
they're just not supposed to eat lunch together.
Yeah, it didn't
Um,
make sense.
So
Yeah.
like the movie starts with like the kid's horse dying, and then all of a sudden he's in an insane asylum, or is it
Yeah.
even a rehab center?
Yeah. Like,
Yeah,
and it's not explained how long he's been there, because like you'd almost take it like he's been dealing with whatever issues he's had, and he's been there for like
I feel like they
forever.
almost allude to him having been there for a while because they showed like the flashback scene of like after the horse died, he like burned down the house with the mother in it.
oh,
so. But
And I assume
Maybe.
that's why he was in there.
I think they implied that, Dante. But here's the thing that doesn't make sense: when they get out, he has an apartment that's
Dude.
furnished with stuff.
Not only that, but
He has, like, friends.
They both just broke out. Why are they just chilling like they didn't just break out? Like there's never any
I
like,
don't-
worry of like being out in public.
I don't think that
cops, or
that was
anything like
his apartment prior.
He said that how would he have afforded it now?
I don't know.
That's where it had to have
No,
been like, because she's like, let's go back to your apartment, right? Like it specifically said that.
But
it's
that
his
was
apartment.
after the nightclub scene, which
Yeah.
like there's no actual like time codes here, but I would assume it was a couple of months.
That felt like it was months.
Yeah,
I don't think it felt like months. It still felt like the early stages of getting to know each other.
I felt like everything was like that's the other part I guess here is that like I can't tell you how long this movie takes place over, because in the
Yeah.
original they tell you it's been like a year since everything happened.
yeah.
Like
But then like
He's-
the whole movie essentially is two
one
nights.
yeah, okay.
yeah.
I was gonna say one night from what I could tell, but yeah, it seemed like the longest night ever. That was one of my thoughts. This movie like everything is like he dies and is back all in the same night basically.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like the insane asylum stuff was weird. Them escaping that easily, like why aren't people just escaping all the time?
Yeah, so he knew where this escape was like the entire time that he was in there, and just
Just
he was
chilling.
just chilling.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, the whole rehab center thing was just like to have like the co-sexes just intermingling. It's I think it would be an absolute disaster in a real sense.
Yeah, there'd be a lot of crazy babies.
Yeah, 100%.
Yep. And like they're just letting them walk into each other's cells, no problem. They're not really checking up on them. Yeah, and then like they get out and they just like besides his apartment, they just have way too much access to too many homes that make like no sense to me. And like they're looking for this girl. I'd have to imagine they know about this lavish apartment that they stay in
So
regularly.
she mentioned that obviously it's a friend's who's out of town and lets her stay there. We don't know who the friend is, right? At no point did
No.
we find that out.
No.
Because
That's
it's
just-
not the other guy
Right.
that was there.
Dom or Dorm or something
Yeah,
like that.
sure.
And then there was the Asian girl at the beginning who had her own apartment where she got abducted from.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, she just has this access to this apartment. Cool. Like, it's weird.
It's
That was the other thing that pissed me off. They killed off Sadie right in the beginning. The little girl.
The little girl?
She wasn't little in this.
Well, she wasn't little in this.
This
but-
is just a friend now.
yeah.
So it kind of pivoted on what the character was.
What? Is that the same name?
Yeah.
Was it?
Was
So
it
they-
Sadie?
So they
No.
eliminate the mother and the kid storyline to bring in.
To establish more of the love story between Shelley and Eric.
I think you're right, Sadie.
No, her name's Sarah
Oh,
No.
So there's
in the original.
okay. So there is no kid in this one.
No.
Okay. They they have a mother, but it's not the same type of relationship. So, do you guys want to talk about like the biggest difference between the two movies? The motivating factor for all of this happening, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, so he's the bad guy from like Daylight. Is that the name of the Ethan Hawke movie where they're vampires?
I
You know what I'm
don't think
talking
I know
about?
that. I don't know that. No.
He's definitely in. Oh no, 30 Days a Night is he's in 39. He played like a vampire in a movie. I'm pretty sure it's 30 Days.
All I really remember him is Stryker in the X-Men.
Yeah, you're right. But he's just like a bad guy.
Yeah.
Like one of your B-level like bad guys in a million movies.
Yeah.
You know. If you scroll down, 30 Days a Night, like 2001 or something, he'll be in that.
I see that.
sure.
Yeah.
Was it 2001?
2007.
Shit.
That's the furthest I've ever seen you be off.
If I had taken longer than a second to just throw that out there, I would have said it was the first movie I got on my PS3 because it came with it, and I would have known that it was closer to 2007. But neither here nor there. Why did they do this? This storyline? I don't get it. Honestly, it doesn't make a lot of sense.
So that's what I was saying. Like, they basically just wrote a whole new movie, and it was just like, hey, let's just use the idea of revenge from The Crow
But they
for our brand new
didn't.
movie.
But they didn't. That's the problem. Like, I think like the revenge story is part of what made the original enjoyable. Versus this, it's just like, oh, you're driven by love, and let's try and draw out this relationship a little bit more. And on top of that, let's throw in the idea that you can actually bring her back to life.
This is kind of in a way like Constantine, I feel like, mixed with like a love story. In the sense that like he's a vigilante who's balancing the scales of good versus evil because they've been sending all these good people to hell in order for them to stay on Earth. And he's like now the thing sent back to balance, like tilt the scales, you know? And he can walk between worlds, they say, and shit, you know? And that's an insult. Like Constantine's a great movie.
Great movie.
Yeah.
Okay,
like I'm not
thank you.
saying it's like a bad movie. I'm just saying like that's what this feels more like, rather than like what Dante's saying, where like the original is just like very cut and dry. Like the original girl's killed because she is petitioning against having to move, basically.
Right.
Like it's such a simple thing, that sets off like all of this, and it's really his fault, right? That she dies because he goes and like turns it into a. They were just trying to threaten her, and he shows up, is what they say in the original.
I mean, I don't really remember.
Yeah, I think so.
An hour and a half ago, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, the other thing too that I didn't like is in the original, it's just he can't die. In this one, it's no, he dies a lot. He just keeps coming back to life.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I necessarily love that.
I liked the scene of like when he first gets into that fight and realizes he can't die and he has to like push his spleen back into his body. Like I like some of the more detailed like modern day take on like the injuries that he's sustaining, that it's not just like healing, like he has to like kind of fix it and then it'll heal over.
Some of that stuff was cool, but I think one of the things that bugged me with this is like historically you've always said like you hate trailers for giving away too much of the movie. I think the trailer gave away like 90% of the action in this movie.
It's been a while since I've watched it. I guess I stopped paying attention.
It's just every action scene I was like, damn, I've seen this.
Okay.
I'm gonna be honest, I don't think I ever watched the trailer because, like I said, I had no interest in the original movie. So I had no interest in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of until I started doing this stuff with you guys, and then I was just like, you know what, fine, this is a movie that I think I could sit through and watch, and be able to at least give some sort of information on. So
I think it would be better without the trailer giving you any of the stuff, because I think like going into this, you knew it was very much built around their love story, and all of that. So like back to your bad guy thing, like even like the execution of this, like just like the whisper in the ear. I don't get it, because like he sets up the first girl, Sarah, is it right? He like has her stab herself in the throat. So I was like, oh, okay, like this kind of works.
Was it Sadie in this?
yes,
And then it was Sarah in the original.
Gotcha.
Got it. Sorry. So Sadie, like I thought when he first had her, he whispers in her ear and she like stabs herself in the neck. I thought, okay, like that's a good way to frame somebody. Like they killed themselves. His hand not anywhere on
but
the
then
weapon.
the body gets dumped.
And then he picks up the knife.
Yeah,
Like he puts his hands all over the weapon. So I'm like, okay, that's not why they did it. Like,
right.
Why wouldn't you just stab her yourself then? Like, what's the point in doing this other than to show the audience like this is what he does?
The way in which she kills herself was just like, all right, she just committed suicide, and then that's how they leave this body.
Mm-hmm.
But then, yeah, exactly. He picks up the knife. I'm like, okay, that's weird. And then obviously you get the detective then finding the body and being like, oh, let me tell you, we found the body.
Now, granted, that was a dirty detective.
Right.
And there wasn't a good detective in this one like there was in the original.
So I think obviously like this guy plays in comparison to the just like the asshole detective in the original movie, who at no point like is he
important
implied that he's like a dirty, but he's just like kind of a piece of shit.
Yeah.
I guess I kind of liked that. There was only really like 2 like fight scenes. I guess there was really only like 3 total, but I'd say the 2 with the police officer I kind of liked.
No, there's more than 3 fight scenes
In the original?
No, in the new one.
In this one, definitely.
Okay, well, this is one of 2 that I liked. Was just the original first fight where he's kind of just figuring out, hey, I can't die. Like you said, the whole spleen thing. I liked just him getting shot and then like standing back up and the police officer being like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Actually, you know what I just realized? We were talking about like the time frame of this movie. There is no time frame. It is all one day.
What brought you to this epiphany?
Because they go in there and kill the girl, and it ends with her waking up there.
Well, we'll get to that.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, because I think there's more to that.
We'll get to that. Yeah.
Like, I think that, like, basically it erased everything that happened was the way that they told that.
Is that how it goes?
I feel like it did in a way, yeah. So, because the cop's body would still be in that. Yeah, we'll get to it, I guess. So, I don't know if we want to keep going on with the guy, like the main bad guy here. Like, I don't understand his relationship to the girl piano player.
So
don't get that one that much. Was he trying to make her one of that like eternal group?
I think so, but she also just disappears after.
She brings after the
mother
woman jumps out the window. Yeah, she's just gone from the movie.
She's in the car. She kind of hears some of this conversation and then gone. Like, yeah, whatever his plan for her was just either never happened or they just didn't tell us exactly. It was weird. And then just obviously like drawing comparisons, I guess, again, I'm probably, as I talk about this movie, I feel like I'm going to put it lower than what I originally had rated it. Drawing comparisons of was his character name Vincent Rogue or
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah, sure. I'm just gonna say
Yeah, spot on.
Comparing him to Top Dollar in the original, like Top Dollar was just I can't even say that without
Yeah,
laughing.
you saying it just
Um,
sounds
just
serious.
call him Dala. You know,
He
or Top.
essentially is in the background of the original, right?
Mhm.
It's the four
Kinda
thugs,
yeah.
that are like I feel like should be the main antagonists in this movie, as they are the ones who raped and killed Shelley, turning Eric into the Crow, essentially. And then like he goes through these to get these four, and then just finds out that the four work for this one guy. So like, hey, I guess now I'm just adding you to my list. Whereas in this movie, it's just like you said, henchman 1, henchman 2, henchman 3, henchman 4, whoever this woman is, and then like the devil's speaker. Like he just has these devil powers.
Yeah, which like this goes back to my like Constantine thing of like it's just like like you need to balance the scales between good and evil. Like send this thing to hell, because he's sending too many good people down there or something. Which so we haven't even talked about purgatory.
No.
Like in addition to this movie, like again, not seeing this before seeing the other one, I would have just assumed this was part of the original movie to give like some plot explanation. I kind of liked the guy who was in purgatory with him, which is he's supposed to be kind of like you were using like the bad cop with the dirty cop in this one, right? Is the good cop kind of the purgatory guy in this?
No, I don't.
No.
I didn't
No.
draw any
No, I wouldn't
comparisons
equate
between
it,
the two
no.
of them.
I'm just going back to the in the room with when Eric goes to the room with the cop in the original one and like to his house,
Yeah.
and they like talk. Like I just think that conversation is kind of similar to some of the conversations that were happening in purgatory.
I could see where you would draw that conclusion, but it didn't give that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just part of the movie. I guess there's not like much to say about the purgatory stuff. It kind of just gets you to advance the plot in a way. It does obviously build to a kind of major part in this where like he doubts his love and then has to trade his soul.
Yeah.
Sure.
He doubts his love, so then like he actually dies again.
Yeah.
You know, leading to this like, and then I don't know if you're willing to just give up your soul to go back and like finish the job. Like I feel like doesn't that also just show like
well, this is where I thought they were going to do it. I thought they were going to go this direction, right? Like where they were both going to live at the end of this because like that's the ultimate sacrifice. That is true love,
right?
Like he not like I don't blame them for being like at the time he says he would do it for not just saying okay like you passed the test, but after he literally goes through everything he said he was going to go through, is willing to give up his thing. I thought she would then like jump in. You know how he keeps getting like seeing her get pulled lower into the water. I thought maybe it was going to be like her jumping in after him to try and pull him back, and like that would be like the sacrificial moment that would bring them back.
Yeah.
And Dante, honestly, for me and you, don't you think at its core, with the type of movies that me and you go to often,
Don't give me this.
that like
Please don't.
But like we should have liked this, right?
They should have,
Like,
but they didn't flesh out the romance in a good way.
that's kind of my point. Like I am the audience who, of anybody, if you had have executed on me believing the relationship side of it, could have looked past some of this stuff.
This could have gained another half a star, yeah.
Yeah, it's just like it just doesn't execute the relationship well enough for me to care that much about it. And then like everything after their deaths isn't good enough. Like I don't know, like I don't feel like he truly like misses her in that way. And to be fair, she was very honest about like if I told you shit that I did, you wouldn't look at me the same way. And he literally did exactly what she told him he would do if he found out. And he knows at this point, the bigger problem here is that he knows at this point that she's not in control of what happens. Like when he sees that video, like it's not her who fucking kills some, like it is, but like, what are you like mad at her for? Like she was very much obviously under the control of something. I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
it's
he
not
already
that
has
makes
that
sense.
information, so it's just
It doesn't mean much. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not even like by this point he doesn't understand what's going on.
Can I tell you guys one note that I put down? And I put it down like I think towards the beginning during the relationship stuff, and then it just kept staying true to me. I think they should recast the Crow, and I think I have the perfect guy in mind.
Who?
Machine Gun Kelly.
Ugh.
You know what? I was honestly getting MGK vibes.
I
from
was sitting
Skarsgård
here
the whole time.
Yeah, like the whole when he's like having the relationship, I was like, this could have been Megan Fox and MGK for the whole beginning of this movie, and I think we would have all bought the relationship significantly more since they've literally lived out this plot for some of their relationship in public.
Yeah, I don't disagree with like the likeness of this version of Eric being MGK, but
That's an insult, by the way, that like the Brandon Lee one very much has its own personality, where this one is just generic clone of what MGK did in a relationship for like the time that they were making this movie.
but I would say that he is somebody who I don't ever want to see in anything ever.
MGK?
Yeah.
I thought you were talking about Bill Skarsgård.
No,
I
not
feel
a
like
fan.
I saw him in a movie recently.
There is a movie. I saw a trailer for it. I know what you're talking about, but I don't know the name of it. It's like his first starring role. It's like a streaming movie.
It's definitely a streaming movie. I forget what the fuck
You're
it
on
is.
IMDb, dude. Double check for us.
Yeah.
We'll talk on MGK for 30 seconds. Fight scenes. You said there's only two that you liked.
Yeah.
So the one the one with the cop
I like
in
the one with the
apartment.
cop, and then I liked the one when he comes back to life after getting shotgun blasted to the chest, and he basically kills henchmen 1 through 3.
Yeah. What's the name of it, Dante?
Jackpot.
No,
John
he's in
Cena.
something else too.
Is he?
Yeah, go.
Oh,
There's like
that's John Cena and Aquafina.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a new Amazon release. I know that. There's not another 2024 on there?
No.
Nothing even recent?
Good.
No, the most recent is he was on an episode of Dave last year.
No, I swear to God, I saw him in a trailer for something that was like, does he have upcoming roles?
I was gonna say maybe upcoming. These are music videos.
Fuck me. I definitely saw a trailer for him somewhere.
I just feel like so when he comes back to life and he is like officially the Crow, like I think technically in this fight scene, it is the only time that I actually kind of felt anger from him
Yeah.
in terms of like being on this like revenge plot. Like he kills these 3 guys with like, and he grabs that shotgun and just absolutely beats the dude over the head with it.
Mm-hmm.
And like it's just the only time that I ever saw like I was like, okay, this dude's pissed and he's ready to go. And then like you said, like directly after that, he's just sitting on the couch with like 3 dead people, smoke with a cigarette, and kind of like puts in there, hold on to this for a second, like
Yeah. Which definitely takes away from your anger aspect a little bit. Contradicts like being like he's super angry when he's just like doing like this. That's where I was getting the Joker vibes from, like some of the way even like this character in general, like,
being able
not
to
so much this one.
disassociate so quickly.
Like putting the cigarette in a dead guy's mouth is like
Yeah.
that's a Heath Ledger Joker
right
there.
So those are the 2 fight scenes. I couldn't be bothered with the ending opera fight.
So I want to give a shout out to the Deadpool car fight scene.
Yeah.
I thought that was good.
I think I would have liked it more if I didn't get most of it in the trailer.
See, I don't really like. Again, this is something I don't remember.
I might have stepped out for this scene.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a the Deadpool scene in the car at
Yeah.
the beginning of the movie. Like they basically do that. Like cars driving towards him, he jumps and goes through the windshield, and then he's just like killing henchmen while they're driving. Like he grabs a dude's gun and shoots through the cheeks of the driver.
Bro, I missed this whole scene. Is this how he got a DeLorean?
No.
When did he get
No,
a
never
DeLorean?
mind.
No,
never mind.
DeLorean's at
No,
the
the
end.
girl shows up at the end with the DeLorean.
Yeah.
Yeah, I missed this whole scene.
This was a good fight scene, like because it ends with him getting run over by like an 18-wheeler, which is funny as fuck.
Oh,
actually.
that's not a DeLorean. That's like a Pontiac Fiero.
Thanks, Dante.
Okay, bud.
Getting your drift simulator, buddy.
Fuck you.
Yeah, I thought the car scene was good though. Like I thought they executed it well. It is way too close to the Deadpool fight scene, but it was cool. I thought the effects in some of the stuff in the opera fight was okay, but I think it went on too long. And like the other part of it goes, Dante, there was another movie we talked about some point this year where I was like, this guy went from like not knowing how to fight at all to being like a very good fighter.
Wasn't it Boy Kills World, the other Skarsgård movie?
No, because they showed how he.
Oh yeah,
learned
no,
how to
he got
fight.
trained by the shaman. Yeah.
I can't remember right now, but this is another one of those movies where like he was just a normal ass dude, and then like
All of a sudden, not being able to die makes you super good at fighting.
yeah, like he's just rolling around with a fucking katana that he somehow had in his house, just like. And I guess it's easy to be able to fight when you don't have to worry about like taking damage. Like it takes away some of the nuances of like combat,
Right.
and I guess that's how they'd explain this away. But like, yeah, it just felt like a little like too simple. Like he's just like walking through like endless bullets. I thought some of the special effects in the shooting was really nice. Like you could see like the black blood flying off of him and like all of that shit. And there were some fun kills and fights in that opera thing, but it went on for too long. I did like the scene though. One of the better scenes I think in the movie is him sitting there with the girl, with the second in charge woman, like just talking about everything. And what you're talking about, where the darkness is starting to come through, I think that was one of the better explanations, where it's like you're becoming more like him because he's starting to kind of drift into that like darkness, you know. And I don't know if that's like whatever was done to him is consuming him now, like the crow shit was done to him.
Fight milk.
Yeah, it was definitely fight milk. Yeah, I don't know. Like I thought that was one of the better scenes. Do you guys want to just talk about the end?
The end.
Sure.
So the fight is whatever. Like it should have been easier than it was, right?
I think there was like just kind of two like just shock value, like cool kills. Like there was the sword through the mouth and just basically detaching the guy's jaw.
That one was pretty brutal. Yeah.
And then just the curb stomp.
Yeah, also pretty brutal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, those were pretty good, actually. Yeah. But then he gets to the house and he gets to the main guy. And I do like that, like the foreshadowing, like they do the thing in the beginning where it's like, what would you do if like, you know, the love you harder scene or whatever. Like, I think that was pretty much set up just to get to this end scene where he gets his brain taken over, and they've set up the idea that like it just attacks all the darkest parts of you. And like, that's where getting back to what you'd said earlier, where they set up this idea that like their love would conquer everything and that they were both going to live. I think that was basically telegraphed through this, of like, through all of the darkness that's consuming him, not only like the doubt that he had in her, the darkness that's consuming her, the one thing that pulled him out of this is that love. And if you're telling me that that's why he was able to keep coming back from the dead, then like, I think he's proven that they should both just live at this point.
Right.
The timing thing. So you want to talk about Dante's thought that they're all in one night?
Oh, and yeah, sure. I feel like it just erased the whole movie.
Yeah, that's what I take it as, Dante. Because
Okay.
like she gets brought back to life in the room with him laying next to her, right? The cop's not there who died. Like none of that. It's almost like all of that stuff like is like Thanos snapped
Yeah,
out
that makes more sense.
of
Yeah.
existence.
But then, like, I mean, granted, I didn't think too much like about this just because like I kind of didn't care at the end of it. But then, like, are all the bad guys still alive?
No, I think everybody's got to be dead.
Just they're just gone.
That's what I mean. Thanos snapped all of it away.
Yeah, just everything's right in the world at this point.
All right.
Doesn't make sense.
Okay.
Also, you know what else didn't make sense? When he was walking down the street with his face painted with a katana, and people were just walking by him and nobody called the cops. I thought that was crazy.
Yeah.
The cops in this town suck.
Other than the one detective, there wasn't a single cop in the entire movie.
No,
Yeah.
no, and he like massacred an entire theater,
Yeah.
and like people,
Which that's another thing
he
too.
threw their heads into the crowd.
In that opera scene, right? Like all this shooting that's going on in the lobby, they didn't rush out until he actually broke into the
Well,
opera room.
so
Like,
they-
is the soundproofing in there that good?
No,
Yeah.
they
Well,
explained
yeah.
it visually because they kept flashing back and forth between the soundproofing, but they also kept flashing back and forth that when a lot of the gunshots were happening,
The music
was when the opera singers were going like full voice, like super high. Like they did a good job, I think, of showing how that was playing out in the way it did. And like it was a John Wick scene, basically, is what you were watching, right?
Yeah.
And like that's what they would have done in John Wick, and we would have been fine with it. This is just a bad movie.
Pretty much the John Wick
Right.
club scene.
Yeah. Bad movie.
Bad movie.
Bad
Um,
Yeah, bad.
And then obviously you got the guy who was like the purgatory angel guy,
Who's
whatever,
the EMT?
is now the EMT. Like, who was he? Like, what was his role? Like, was he an angel? Was he God? Like,
We don't know, and at this point, we don't care.
Do you
Right.
guys remember who played God in like Down to Earth?
So you're gonna say I'm Bruce Almighty?
Morgan Freeman. Yeah.
Like, doesn't he show up something like that at the end of the movie? Like, I'm a real person. Wink, wink.
No idea.
Whatever.
Over my head.
Just feels like that. Do you guys have scores or star ratings and rankings?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. I'll start because I think this will be just the shock value for you guys. I think I have this ahead of 3 movies. I want to
Okay.
say this is 15 of 18 for me. I have this ahead of Madam Web. I have this ahead of Borderlands. And I have this ahead of Ghostbusters, The Frozen Throne or Empire or whatever it was called. Movie didn't need to exist.
Huh.
This is not as good as Ghostbusters.
Yeah, I have it behind all of those. The only thing it's ahead of is Borderlands on mine. So I have it at 45 with 2 stars.
So it's ahead of Madam Web.
Behind Madam Web. Madam Web's 44.
So then Borderlands is behind this.
Yes.
I think you just flip-flopped the way you said.
Did I have it wrong?
Yeah.
No, I think I had it right. You just heard me wrong.
Okay. How many stars did you give it?
2.
All right. Yeah, I also gave it 2 stars.
I
It's-
didn't want to give it 2 stars, but when I looked at my other 2-star movies and then 1.5 stars, and I was just like, that seems fair
Mhm.
for where it is.
I do think it's interesting. Letterboxd has it at an average of 2.3 stars, which is higher than I thought it would be.
No.
Yeah, I have it at 2 stars. I actually have Borderlands in front of it. I have Madam Web in front of it as well. And it's at 51 on my list. And I'm kind of torn because I think that I hate In Violent Nature, but I just left it in front of it because it's creative and at least some of its premise. But yeah, I have it at 51. Let us know what you guys think out there about it, though. Did you like the original more? Did you hate this one with a passion? Did it just exist like I think it did? Did we miss anything on glaring holes in the entirety of this movie? Bill Skarsgård versus Brandon Lee. Who did it better? Who did it best?
Is that even a question?
That's for the people out there, Dante. That's what the question is. It's for them.
All right, y'all. In the comments, don't get it wrong.
And until next time, we bid you Fale adieu.
Peace.
Later.
For those with good taste.